Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Exploring Photography right here on Adorama TV. I'm Mark Wallace, and this is part 5 of my series on video editing basics for people that don't know anything about editing video. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how audio moves the story forward and how we can do some basic editing of our audio in Adobe Premiere. Now, if you haven't already watched the first 4 parts of this series, make sure you at least take a look at those so you understand exactly where we are and the different tools and things that we're using. In this episode, though, we really want to dial into audio in 2 different ways. The first is understanding how audio moves our story forward, how it pulls the viewer in and tells the story from the perspective of the camera operator or the director, I guess, or the character in the story. So the music will help us do that. It'll help us transition from different clips. It'll help us to move things along so people keep watching. The other thing we want to do is understand technically how we do all of those things. So how do we increase the volume and fade things out and trim audio and mix 2 different clips so they're seamless and get rid of some noise or whatever you have on the timeline. So to do that, I want to first show you a section of My Muddy Adventure. It's the video that we've been using to understand how to edit video. If you want to watch this, and I really highly suggest that you do this specifically for the audio, because the audio in this clip really plays a large part. And so to see the whole 17 minutes, I think is worth your while. So you can sort of hear how the audio is moving things along. I've included a link to that video in the description of this video, so you can click on that and see that. It's on YouTube. Okay, so we're going to go in here. I've already loaded in My Muddy Adventure. It is the story of me getting stuck on my motorcycle in Africa. There's a section here that I want to dive into just so we can really hear how the audio is working. Now on this project, on the timeline here, we have 3 different audio tracks. The first track here is this one of the audio from the GoPros. So that's the motorcycle noise, it's me talking, it's just the normal video audio. The second and third tracks are a mix of voiceover and music. So some stuff I recorded later to narrate the story, that's a voiceover, and then the music that I have purchased from Digital Juice. So just a note, make sure that you have legal music in your videos. It's copyrighted, so make sure you're not stealing anything. I license almost all of my music from Digital Juice. You can check them out at digitaljuice.com. And so that's all the music we're going to be listening to here. So let me just sort of walk through this section of video. There's some things that happen. The first is I'm going to be talking about how it is scary where I am. I don't know if I can camp or move forward or if I'm stuck. So to help you understand how the music and audio is working here, on the audio tracks, there is a little M. And if you click on that, you can mute or turn off the sound. So I've turned off all the music and stuff just so you can hear how this sounds with me just talking and the motorcycle sound. So here I am saying, I don't know if I can camp here or not.
Well, if it's not, I have to find some place to camp. But as you can see, there's nothing. There's nowhere to camp even.
Okay, so there I am just talking about camping. Okay, so then after that what happens is I hop on my motorcycle and I start riding. So we'll have some motorcycle sounds and then those sort of go away. So here I am. And then there's clips of me just riding along. And then the third thing that happens is I come around the corner and I see some people that I'm not expecting. So it's these people that have this accident, this bus accident. And the thing is, I'm thinking, I don't know what's happened here. I don't know if they're hurt, if there's some kind of scam. I don't think that's what it is. But mainly I think, gosh, something is happening that doesn't look good. I don't know what it is. And I want to convey that in my video. And so to do all of those things, we're going to use audio. And so I'm going to unmute first these tracks. So here I am talking about camping. Now before it was just sort of bland, but I've added in some music that is tense. And so that's going to add the feeling of, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And it makes a huge difference. So listen to this.
Well, if it's not, I have to find some place to camp. But as you can see, there's nothing. There's nowhere to camp even. So
Okay, so we've added some tension. Now I want you to listen to how these different audio tracks change. So that tense music is going to fade out. there's going to be a fade in of my motorcycle starting. So the motorcycle starting is going to propel us into the segment of writing, and then we have some action music that's going to sort of come in at the same time. So we're going to go from tense to, all right, let's get to it. And we're doing that with the audio to match what's happening with the video. So listen, tense music out, action music in, motorcycle sound up to transition us, and then the motorcycle sound goes away.
Out really fast, because I think in about 10 minutes it's going to be down for.
Okay, so we've made a transition. We're telling a different part of the story. Now over here, where we come around the corner and we see these unexpected bus crash crowd, this unexpected bus crash here, I want to point out two things that we've done here. The first is I've made a transition from the road to the crash with the sound that's in the music. It's a bong, and that's going to help us transition. So listen to this and watch as this happens. Hear that? Bong. Okay, so we're timing our cut with the video, and so I can use that rolling edit we talked about in previous episodes to make sure that the clips and the music line up, and so the audio and what we're seeing match. So we've done that. The other thing that I'm doing here is I want to create some tension, and I'm going to do that by adding a different music track, and that's a tense music track. So listen to this now, seeing something that I don't know. Listen to how it feels. Okay, that is that section. So the audio plays a huge part. We're going to learn how to do all that, fading things in out, fading things in and out, and making some transitions, and then changing the audio, the volume of things like the motorcycle coming in and the sounds going out. There's one other section in this video that I really would love for you to watch, perhaps on the published version, and it is how audio tells the story of reaching the end of a big struggle. If you watch this clip at the end of me and the mud trying to get out, this section right here, you'll hear me talk about getting to the end of this tarmac.
A wonderful detour it was. When I got to Impanda, some locals invited me to go out
and that. So watch that, and then listen to how the music crescendos, the crowd crescendos, and we have a big celebration, and then things fade out. Visually, it goes to black, but we still hear some things, and then text, and then we're moving on to our second segment. And you'll see that the things that we talked about of the story moving forward from the sound applies there. I think it's a really good example, but we don't have time to watch every single part of this muddy adventure, or we'd be here all day. Okay, now that we know sort of those principles, how do we do that? Well, we first need to understand how audio files work. Now, I can't go into all of the different things about audio. It would take us years. In fact, if you're a musician, you know this. Audio is a huge universe that has a lot of complexities, so we're going to keep this as simple as possible so you can get started quickly. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about how audio waveforms look in audio files, what they look like. And so what I've done is I've created a new sequence called Music Edit. It's just an empty timeline. And I've done that so we can look at some audio files. So on the left-hand side here, I have an audio file. This is a song. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to take this, and I just want to take, I don't know, maybe a second or two, and then I'm going to take this and put it on the timeline. I'll zoom this in so we can see. Okay. So we've got a couple seconds there. Then I'm going to go over to my music track, and I'm going to get a different, just a different song. Okay, that. And we'll put that on the timeline. Okay, so we have two tracks, two clips on the timeline. That don't make any sense. They're just audio. So when we look in our source monitor, we have all these squiggles. What the heck did those mean? Let me clear this in and out so you can see this clearly. Well, audio waveforms, audio travels in waveforms, just like the ocean. It's in waves, so it's traveling across. you have something called amplitude. That's how loud something is. So big waveform. So if you clap, it creates a big waveform. If you whisper, it's a very small waveform. And so we can see visually through these waveforms if something is quiet or if something is really loud. And in music, you can actually see the beat. You can see where the drum hits and where the crescendos are and all that kind of stuff. So to do that, I'm going to get actually a different song here. I'm going to get this song called Hard Hittin' because it's got some very distinct points. So let me go in here and get this guy right here. Okay, so you can see in this clip here, we have very loud section right here. You can just see it. Something changes right here, then something is loud right here. Now if we play this, you can hear. You can hear the change that we can see. So the audio waveforms will help us guide us through this. If we zoom in by hitting the plus key, now you can start seeing the individual beats. You can start seeing where these drum beats are. So boom, 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 boom. So watch when we play this. So that's all there is to know really about audio waveforms, is you can see how loud and soft something is, and that will help us visually to put in and out points. The other thing is on this window we see two different things. That's because one of them is the left side, the other one is the right side. It's a stereo track, so we have two different things, left and right ear going at the same time. Sometimes you'll have a mono track and you'll only see one waveform, and so you might see that in something like a voice recording. And so I will open my voiceovers here and I'll just grab one of them. This is a stereo voiceover, but you can still see how this works. So right here should be silence. Yep. And then I start talking right here.
That means shelter and food.
So you can see visually how audio
Panda was just down the road.
You can see how audio looks, and so that will help us when we're editing. Okay, there's something else that we need to understand in our audio editing. So the audio clips, we can edit just like we did with the video clips using our tools. So we can go to the timeline, we can shrink them, we can stretch them, we can use the rate stretch tool, we can use all the stuff that we did with our video clips on the audio. We can use transitions, all of that stuff works. So everything we already learned works for audio. But what we want to learn is how to change the volume very specifically. Now, there are two different ways to do this, to fade things in and out and to change volume levels. The first way is to go to the audio workspace by clicking on audio, or go to Window, Workspace, Audio. And then you have a track mixer, and then you also have a clip mixer. Now, this is very important to understand. So if you're a traditional audio engineer, maybe you mix sound for a band or a community center or a play or something, you're used to having a big mixing board and turning volume up and down. Well, audio happens in two different ways. So we have clips, those are the individual clips, and we can change the audio levels for each clip independent of other clips. And then we have tracks. That's the track that all those clips are on. So you can individually control the volume in each clip, and then you can globally control the volume in each track. And so if you confuse those two things, you might think you're changing the volume on the entire audio track or all the track for a music, but you're not getting that. You're just getting sections. So let me show you what I mean. So we have two different clips, 1 and 2, two different types of music here. So up here we have this clip mixer. And so what I will do, notice the playhead is on the left side, this first song. If I pull this slider down to lower the volume, listen to what happens to the first clip. Second clip is still loud because the playhead was on the first clip when I made the change. If I move this up to the top, I'm only changing one clip. This is the clip mixer, and so that's really nice. I can go through here, and as I'm playing it, I can make a change. Well, now that's loud. That can be confusing, so just know that you're making a clip change, not an entire track change. This is really where I would spend most of my time making adjustments, because you can add keyframes. So let's say we want to have a clip with some music. We want it to go down in volume. so that maybe a voiceover can sit on top of that, and then the voiceover ends and we want to come up with that. So we want our music to go down and then come back up. So we can do that in our clip. We can do it live in this clip mixer. So as you play, I'm going to move this down and back up, but I'm going to make sure this little thing right here is clicked, the right keyframes. So this is going to do this live as we play. So I'm going to go put the playhead at the beginning, make sure this right keyframes is on, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this a little bit longer so we have some breathing room here. Okay, I'm going to fade it down and back up. Here we go. All right, now notice down here, I'm going to make this large so you can see it, that we have this line. This is showing us our keyframes, showing us all the things that we did. So just like in the last episode where we added keyframes manually, we can also add keyframes with automation using the little sliders. And because I was adjusting things as this played into the second clip, it affected both of those. It's a really nice way to change volume as you go live. Okay, so now what we're going to do is look at the audio track mixer. So what this will do is it's going to make a global change to everything on this track. Now here is one area in audio editing that we're not going to spend much time. We're going to skim right over it because we could spend probably 2 or 3 hours going through this stuff. So I'm just going to show you this very quickly, and then if there's enough response and people want to know more about this, maybe we'll make an entire series just on audio editing because it's that detailed. So what we can do here is if we want to have all of the volume, the master volume, to go down, but include all the changes that we made, we can go over here to this first track here, the audio one. That's the audio track here. And then I can just pull this down. That's going to affect the entire track, but it's also going to preserve the keyframes that I made. And so we do that by having this set to read. There's off, read, touch, and write. It will behave differently. The automation will change based on those, and that is definitely way beyond what we need to learn here today. If you just want to change the volume of a track, you can go into the track mixer and just pull that down, decrease the volume, and you're going to be fine. If you want to go in and change the volume of different places of a clip, go into the clip mixer, make sure your right keyframe is turned on, and then it will change as you move that up and down live. That's not very precise. There's a different way to do this, and it's the way that I prefer to do this because it's really precise. So we're going to go back to the editing window, and we're going to go back into My Muddy Adventure, and then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in, and you'll notice that those little keyframes that we talked about earlier show up. So I have gone in and made audio adjustments to these different areas. In fact, let's go back to the portion that we were talking about earlier. So notice that here when I'm talking about the camping,
Possible if it's not.
here is my audio track for that music, the tense music.
I have to find some place.
But notice at the end it fades out and this other one fades in. The way I have done that, instead of using the track mixer and trying to just do this by listening and watching and doing it really quick, is I wanted to be really precise. You can do that by using this tool right here, the pen tool. So if you click that on your track, you can click and add a keyframe, click somewhere else, add another keyframe, click another keyframe. You can start adding keyframes, but then you can start dragging those along. So if I just want this section right here to fade down, stay low, and fade up, I've made 4 keyframes to do that, and listen, it goes down and up.
And there's nothing for over 100 miles.
Goes down.
So I'm going to have to ride through this rain and hope that the road...
Same with my audio up here. If I want to change that, I can do it really easily. I can start making this go down. Now my voice will fade out and back up.
100 miles. So I'm going to have to ride through... It's still passable.
So if you want to be really precise, use the pen tool to start editing your different audio points. If we go scroll through here, you can see I've done this a lot. I have taken the creepy music down. I've faded up the action music. I've faded up the sound of the audio of the engine, the motorcycle engine, but then I've taken that down. I've taken this down to almost nothing, so you can hear the engine start up really loud. It fades back down. The sounds of the motorcycle going along almost goes away, but we have nice loud music. So watch this and listen.
Figure this out really fast, because I think in about 10 minutes it's going to be down for.
And that's how you do it. So all of the things that we've learned, trimming, clipping, cutting, adding transitions, all of that stuff works with audio. The keyframing also works with the pen tool to adjust our volume, and that helps us be really precise, or you can use the mixers as well. There's one more thing I want to show you. It's a trick that you'll use over and over and over, and then I think we'll have enough audio under our belts to do a lot. This trick is to fix one of the stock music limitations that you might think you have, which is you need a 2 or 3 minute audio clip and you only have 60 seconds. How do you stretch that out and make it sound really good? Well, I've done that in this, this clip right here at the very end. Let me shrink these guys down, where I have this action music, and you can hear it here. Okay, so I needed that song to last longer than the 60 seconds that we had it. And so that song is called Hard Hittin'. So I'm just going to go over here and type in hard, and we have a 60-second version. I will pull that in. So there it is. Here's our song. Now this song, it helps to know a little bit about music, but this song is a 4/4 time signature, which is what most stock music is, and so it's got a beat that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so what you can do if you want to extend a song, you can chop off the end measure or 2 or 3, and just make sure you do that at the end of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, chop, and then you can take the song and start it over on the downbeat of the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, chop, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the new part of that. So at the very end of this audio, what you can see here, if I zoom in, you can see the 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, it fades out. So listen to this, you can hear this last bar of music. There it is. So we've got this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, fades out. So what we can do here to make this much longer, I'll go to my music edit, clear this out. So I'm going to take this entire song here and I will drop it on the timeline. So we have that. Okay, now I've double clicked to put this up here, and I will zoom in on the timeline at the very end down here. Okay, so there we have this clip. Now I'm going to trim out that last 4 beats. So right there, I think that's it. So I will make that the out point. Okay, now you might have to adjust this a little bit frame by frame because you have to make sure you get it right on the downbeat. So I will make sure that is right. Let me zoom in again. So I think it needs to go 1 frame back. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so then what I can do, here's how that ends. Oh, sorry, on my, on my audio, I've turned that down. Remember we turned that track down? Let me turn it back up. Okay. So we've got this ending. All right, right on the downbeat. So then we can just take this same track, this same music. It starts on the 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll just take that, we'll drop it right down there, and if we've done it right, we'll get a seamless edit. So we've taken one song, chopped off the end, put the beginning back on, and we've extended, and you can do that over and over and over again, and you can create a 60-second song and just make it as many minutes as you want, and at the end you can just fade it out using those keyframes or the slider, and you're all good. And so if you watch again My Muddy Adventure, you'll hear at the very end this music goes on for quite a while, even though it's only a 60-second clip, and that's how you do that. All right, tons of audio tips and tricks I suggest for you if you want to play with this stuff. Get some audio, start keyframing, start fading things in and out. Try to tell some stories using different audio effects and music and voiceovers, and see how it works for you. If you really want to see how this works in this My Muddy Adventure, watch the whole thing. And if you just listen closely, you'll hear how the audio tells the story. Another thing you can do is turn off the audio and watch a section, and you'll see what kind of a difference all that music and stuff makes. It's huge. It really, really will help out. Okay, the next episode, we're going to finish off this series of basics by figuring out how to get all of the work that we've done out of our computer and out to the real world using Adobe Media Encoder. So make sure you join me for that. Don't forget to subscribe to Adorama TV. That way you don't miss anything. You can see all of the good stuff that we're publishing. Also check out the Adorama Learning Center for more advanced topics and articles that will help you learn how to edit videos, shoot stills, and all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again in the next episode.